Hello, this is Pauline Jennings, the host of Musician Talk. Thanks for tuning in today. My guest this week is Barb Piper. She is a singer-songwriter with an extensive resume in musical performance and music education. Barb has 2 albums of original music to her credit and is continually working on more. After retiring from teaching in 2018, she has been busy with many musical projects, including writing and occasional gigs with Lone Rock classic country band, with her duo Mad Pipes, and has recently started performing with a new group called Chicken Bones. That's Chick N Bones, a 5-piece variety band based in Minneapolis. She says, quote, "Music speaks for me what the spoken word cannot express and will forever be a mainstay in my life," unquote. Well, let's find out more. Let's talk with Barb Piper. Hi, Barb. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
Welcome to Musician Talk.
Thank you so much, Pauline.
I'm just wondering, as I ask everybody, that what's your greatest frustration with COVID been, as in your musical life?
Just the isolation and not being able to have a live audience.
Yeah.
We have had, my partner Ed and I, we have had concerts from the crib this past summer from our corn crib that we made into a gazebo. So we have concerts on Facebook Live, which was really fun, except it's very quiet, you know.
Right. You don't get that energy too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm so happy that you were able to find a way to keep playing and keep doing your craft. That's wonderful. Did you find any silver linings with this time?
Yes. For a musician who is an introvert, it's been a really nice time for me to be able to focus on writing. That part is good. And we have a little hobby farm north of Northfield, and we have chickens and lots of house projects. So it's been a nice downtime, I guess, without any stress, without any things on the calendar, really, you know.
We could call it, I think, COVID/project year, you know?
Yeah.
I think everybody, we went through all our CDs, we went, just all these things that we have put off for 20 years that we were able to do. So there's that. That's good. Yeah. Yep. So let's start in on your musical journey. You are a multi-instrumentalist, and you're a singer and you're a songwriter. So take us back to your first memories of being a musician.
When I was very, very small, my dad would sing me to sleep with his guitar. And he had a guitar that he got from Ward's, I think, or something like that. And I just always loved music. My mom sang. My mom played French horn and piano. It was just my elixir for everything. I couldn't get enough of it. So I started playing piano when I was about 7 or so, just on my own. Never really took lessons, but mom had the piano there and lots of books. Nice. And then I played guitar. I got an old hand-me-down guitar from my aunt. And then I started French horn in school and then played that all the way through. So I was a music major in college and became a band director. So I had to learn all the instruments, which was fine with me because I loved it. So I taught in public schools. I taught K through 12 music and every kind of combination you can imagine. Until the last 3 years of my career, I had gone back to school to get a literacy degree. And so I taught remedial reading for the last 3 years because that's another passion. And I've been retired since 2018. And all along the way there, probably since my 30s, after my kids were born and all that, I started singing out again, singing out live. And many performances later, and it's in the hundreds and hundreds of performances. And so I've been with, I can't even tell you how many bands. I still have a duo. I have my solo. I'm in 2 bands right now. It's just an ongoing thing.
So tell us the names of those groups that you're in right now.
I have a band called Lone Rock. I'm the lead singer, and Ed too. And it's classic country. My brother plays guitar in it. Nice. And then I have a band called Chick and Bones. I'm the chick. And we do variety. We do Amy Winehouse.
Wow.
Let's see, David Bowie. There's it's a huge range of different genres, really. And we played at the Paradise Theater November 7th to a very limited crowd. That was our last performance. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that band because we've got a lot of projects in the air, but it was right before COVID hit that we were just getting off the ground. So, and then I have a duo with Doug Matto, and I sing with Jive and Ivan once in a while with Mike Hildebrandt.
So the Chicken Bones ones, that's a full band then to cover those kind of tunes.
Yes, that's a 5-piece.
Yeah.
And we have a beautiful soundstage studio up in Bloomington that the band leader has for us. And so we practice up there. And
oh, nice.
Our goal there is to go to summer festivals. So we used to have a band all together called Prairie Dog Fight Club. And this is with some of the same people.
Okay.
Oh, anyway, yeah.
Sounds like a really cool cover band. I mean, that you're doing unusual covers, not the whole same old stuff. That's really cool.
Really different. And I get to play a beautiful Nord keyboard that he bought for the band. So it's great. And I don't normally play keys. I usually play guitar,
So that was a really great synopsis, but it was almost too short. So let's go back and talk about some of the things that you did when you were growing up musically, some highlights.
French horn was my main thing, and I loved my guitar and my piano, but they were not performance ready at all. But my French horn took me to, I was second in state when I was a junior in high school, which I was really proud of.
Yes.
And I got a little scholarship to go to college on that. Not a lot, musicians don't usually get a lot of money for anything, but I was really, really good on that horn. But it wasn't my favorite thing to do. My favorite thing was to sing. And so I would sing at weddings when I was in starting when I was 18, I sang in weddings throughout. And then after my kids were probably 5, 6, 7 years old, that's when I started performing out. I had a trio in Faribault called We Three, and it was 3 women singing harmony because I love harmony.
I do too.
And I was in a band with Ray Coudray for 15 years called Scattered Skies or Area 51.
Yes, Area 51. That's what I've seen a couple times. Wonderful. Where did you go to college?
I went to college at St. Cloud State.
So at St. Cloud, then you majored in music and performance or in teaching?
In teaching.
Okay, got it. And do you still play French horn?
I played French horn for 15 years in the community band in Faribault. And I finally put it up because, I may do it again sometime, but my lips you have to really keep that instrument up to be really good on it.
Right.
And so over the summer, that's all I did was, once a week. And it was a lot of commitment.
Sure.
To something that wasn't really feeding me. I like the people, but.
And what feeds you? You said singing does. Well, how does that feed you?
It's an expression. I would rather sing than give a speech or talk to somebody really, because it really, it just covers all the bases for me. I don't know what it is, but I have to have someone listening. So that's the communication part, but I really like writing and singing and performing, all of that together, and making it my own music is really important to me now. In my younger days, I was inspired by everyone else's music, and I did a lot of cover singing, I guess I've graduated past that. I don't know if that's what the right word is, but it's what I like to do now.
Not everybody can write. So you might not graduate to doing originals just because you don't have the talent of writing, because it's a completely different talent than performing, and you happen to have that. I'm not so much. I've written some songs. We did an album with one of the groups I was in, but it doesn't feed me. And it's very, very hard for me to make something sound not trite or whatever you're striving for in a song. It's hard for me to do. So you have that talent and you have that urge within you. So you graduated to that next level in your musical.
For me. Yeah.
For you.
I guess I wouldn't even, I don't know if I call it a talent. It's just a need to regurgitate my life in that way, To
do it well you need some talent, I think.
It takes a lot of skill. I've taken a lot of classes on songwriting. I go to a music camp every summer out in North Carolina, and I've been doing that for 11 years. And you hang out with some of the best people on the planet that know how to write music. And you take guitar lessons from some of the best players on the planet. One of my teachers is Pat Donahue. Kathy Mattea and her husband, John Vesner, they have Grammys because of the writing, so you get to learn from them. And Tom Paxton.
That's incredible.
But at the same time, you have to be very true to yourself. You can't be writing to a formula. That's just something that I can't do. And so I figure if somebody likes my music, if even one person is moved by my music, I'm so grateful. But I can't do it for them. I have to do that for me. And whatever comes out, I'm going to do a bang up job on making sure that it's done well.
It just crossed my mind that when I was listening to those songs, a couple times I thought, well, that's interesting. So you hit the mark on not writing formula, because I was surprised.
Oh,
and
good.
That's kind of cool, which is a great segue to the first song called Goodnight New York, which is an original that you wrote. When did you write this?
I think I started writing that in 2017.
And this is on one of your albums of originals.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So this is your solo work. This isn't with an album with one of the groups that you played with. This is your solo stuff. Okay. Who's playing on Goodnight New York?
I'm playing guitar. There's a couple tracks on there. I play some keys. My recording guy plays bass on a couple numbers. He plays some drums. He's very talented. His name is Reed Kruger. My sister sings with me and my daughter sings with me.
Oh, how lovely. And that's the name of the album, Goodnight New York?
The name of the album is Sheep.
I like it. So Goodnight New York, it's drums, guitar, and voice? Is that what's on there? Or percussion?
And there's a bass. There is an extra solo guitar in there. That was a friend of my studio guys that came in and played a little bit on there too. So
you wrote this song, and I'm wondering where your inspiration for this song came from.
It's a little silly, really. My sister bought me a t-shirt when she was in New York City in 1988 as a souvenir, and it was a big oversized t-shirt, and I used to wear it for pajamas. And my kids would fight over that t-shirt because it was mom's and it smelled like mom and it was reminding them of mom. And I moved out of my house in Faribault in 2016, and I ran across that t-shirt, and it was just like ready to go, and I had to throw it out, and it was really a bittersweet moment for me. It's so funny how a t-shirt can make you feel like that, but that's what the song is about. So it's like good night New York. It said New York over the front of it, you know.
I would have never guessed that what this was about. I don't think anybody would. So it's really great to have that insight. And I love the line, a mere souvenir cannot define the sentimental treasure. That's a great, now I understand what you're getting at there, but even without knowing that, I love that line. So with that said, let's listen to Barb Piper on Goodnight New York.
Good night, New York. You've been swell, you've been grand, but I understand that time takes its toll. There's a hole where my heart's been. A mere souvenir cannot define the sentimental treasure. New York, New York, New York. In '88 you looked great, but as of late I can't see right through you. Show me starry nights mixed with city lights that sparkle brightly. You're soft like a kitten. I am smitten with New York, New York, New York. You're warm like no other. Like my dear old mother. New York, New York, New York. said hello. 30 years now, it's time to go. New York, New York, New
This is Pauline Jennings, and you're listening to Musician Talk, hosted by me. You just heard Good Night, New York, written and performed by my guest, Barb Piper. Well, this is a great jazzy style tune, and I love the tone of your voice. It's clear as a bell and sounds effortless. I can understand all your words. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I want to dig into your writing process a little bit. We talked about you have gone to these seminars every year, and that you write for yourself and from your soul and don't follow a formula. I'm just wondering about your process. When you get an idea, what do you start with? Do you start on your guitar? Is it the same every time? Is it not? Just things like that.
Sometimes it's just a little earworm that gets into my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep hearing it and I keep thinking about it. Or it's a little guitar lick, or sometimes it's a concept, but it starts out very small. And it's a very strange thing because I will go with that and I'll keep playing it. And then something happens where I know exactly what I'm going to do, I think. And then all of a sudden it shifts into something completely different.
Wow.
And then I work it out. I flesh it out. I know what it's going to be. I look for the right chord structure I refine it and I refine it. And then pretty soon it's almost done. And then I know that I need to do this. It's like these little homework pieces that I have to take care of, these chores that are not fun, but they're just, I know how they have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it's done. And I swear to God, when I look back on some of these songs, I don't know how it happens.
Wow.
But a friend of mine described it as just dusting off something. It's not really something that I'm creating. It's something that I'm finding. I'm discovering it.
Oh, that's
you
beautiful.
know,
That's
it is
beautiful.
really how it feels.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's true. It's probably true for a lot of people that are creating things. They have to go through that process and then they finally feel like, it's done.
There it is. Yeah. It
There it
sounds like
is.
there's a little magic involved too.
I think so. There
Yeah.
must be.
That's
Yeah.
nice. How do you choose which originals you're going to put on an album? What was your choosing process?
The ones that speak to me to finish. I have a lot of stuff that's not finished.
Okay.
The songs that I'm not motivated to finish yet are not going to I'm not going to force them to be finished so that I can put them on an album. I don't want to have that stress of saying, oh, Barb, you've got to have 12 songs or you've got to have this. My first album was 9 songs because that's what I had that I wanted to put on there. And so
Makes sense.
I don't like to be told what to do. And so if I have to work into some kind of formula, it doesn't work very well for me. It can't be organic enough.
Let's turn to the second song that you do, and it's completely different from Good Night, New York. It's called The Chosen One. Who are the musicians on this song?
Well, my daughter is on there, and
Oh, lovely.
Mike Hildebrandt plays fiddle on it.
Okay, I thought I recognized that.
Yeah. And I play guitar.
And your daughter's name?
Lauren Piper.
Lauren Piper. And Lauren, is she harmonizing with you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I thought you were harmonizing with yourself. That it blends so well. So
Yeah, it's really
that's nice with that blood, that DNA kind of gets into the music, doesn't it? Now, this song is really interesting. I'm not quite certain what it's about, but it's very powerful. So tell us about writing the words for this song.
Well, I chose that song for you to share because it's probably the pivotal song in my writing so far in my life. And I won't go into detail, but it's a very dark song. And songwriters, sometimes they have to write those dark songs. And I don't want to bring anybody down, but when I was 13, I was babysitting for a family, and the dad decided that he was going to make his moves on me. And I was very, very innocent. And it could have been a lot worse than it was, but it affected my life, my entire life. It affected everything about my relationships with people. And I didn't talk about it for 2 years. I didn't even tell my best friend about it. My parents, I didn't talk to them about it or anything. And it took me until I was 50 years old and wrote that song where I actually could take that out of my central vision or out of my subconscious and put it on a shelf and realize it wasn't me. It had nothing to do with me. It was the wrong place and the wrong time, and his was just another face. It was just a person who took advantage of someone who was innocent and vulnerable, and it happens every day. It happens to my students at school. I would see those little faces and I always was always there. And so I gotta say that art in general can really be a savior for people. It's made all the difference since I laid that song down and made the commitment to put it on disc and get it out of my way. That's what that's
powerful. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And what a wonderful revelation to come to. This does not have anything to do with me. Wrong place, wrong time, because that's really hard.
Yeah.
When you're victimized like that, to not blame yourself. And so, yes, get that out there, push that out there and say, okay, this is not me. I can set this aside. And that is one of the most powerful stories I've ever heard of the transformational power of music. So,
because I really had, when you write words like that and all of the sensory things about a song in general, and once you perform it, now you have covered all the facets of the emotional journey that you've taken with that incident, and spewed it in a way that hopefully it's not too offensive and hopefully it'll help someone else. And so I'm sure it's true for a lot of musicians when they write stuff, or artists when they paint things or make things. It's cathartic.
Yes, cathartic. Exactly. You have this line in here, ugly is as ugly does. And it's such a wonderful and dark and interesting way to start a song. I was taken off guard. I appreciate the fact that you're being so honest. That's great. So now that you've set this up, let's take a listen to The Chosen One, written and performed by Barb Piper.
Ugly is as ugly does, and you're the ugliest thing because you took a young heart, innocent eyes, and showed them things they didn't recognize. Bitter taste, sleight of hand, taking what you want because you can. Dirty words and dirty mind, leave my childhood behind. Fighting words heard through the wall, words filled with alcohol, stumbling tiptoe around the bend, fast asleep I must pretend. What is this I cannot see? It's dark and heavy over me. Memories get lost, and yet there's some things you don't forget. Oh, what have you done? Why was I the chosen one? Did I unknowingly tempt you with my company? Brushing off and standing tall, I'm not guilty after all. Was the wrong time, wrong place, and his was just another face. No one seems to understand the animal inside the man. As in nature, there's a time an animal will cross that line. All what's done is done, and I won't be the broken one. You can't have me, no one will. I spit out the bitter pill, left a scar, yes, this is true. But I'm strong in spite of you. But I'm strong in spite of you. But I'm strong in spite of you.
You're listening to Musician Talk, hosted by me, Pauline Jennings, with today's guest, Barb Piper. You just heard The Chosen One, a song written by her, a very personal song. This is, now that I know what this is about, it's Barb, it's overwhelmingly beautiful and poignant. And again, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The versatile nature of your voice is incredible, that you can sing this country-ish tune in such an effective way, just as well as the jazz stuff is wonderful. And also, I love the surprises. First of all, the words are surprising because they're so raw and honest. And also the haunting nature, particularly Doc's solo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Isn't he great?
Where did that go? That was a surprise. I love it. You've had these experiences in your life where music has really, really transformed it. Thank you for talking about that with us. How did you talk to your students when you were teaching about the importance of music in their life?
I tried not to talk about it too much. I just really wanted to give them the tools so that they could learn how to express themselves and not get too bogged down with all of the things that go into teaching music, because there's
Sure.
so much. My goal was to get them the feelings first, and then the tools will come as they need them, you know?
Nice.
So I did it. I used to do a practice in my choir, my middle school choir, where we would do karaoke on Fridays. And a lot of people poo-pooed karaoke of what are you teaching them? And I do believe that I taught them how to free their voice and sing what they wanted to sing. I mean, how are we supposed to tell kids what they're going to like?
Right.
They know what they like. You know, the only rule I had was if you bring music in, it can't have any profanity or adult themes. And so,
Nice.
you know, we'd put that karaoke music on and we'd work on presence and announce their song and their name. And that's, you know, and then audience appreciation. What do you do when you're done performing? And it was very powerful. You know, I don't want to ever hear another Taylor Swift tune maybe, but it was great. It was really, it's whatever spoke to them. And so that's the kind of approach I'd like to take in music, is to make it very personal for them.
What fun for them to be able to choose their own songs and learn how to perform. And I think karaoke is a great tool. I think there is some musician elitism against it, but it is a great tool. It really is. So we've come to the point of the interview here to talk about best gig, worst gig. And I talk about this almost every week. What comes to mind when I say worst gig?
I do remember a country club and hauling my big giant speakers and sound system in all by myself, all dressed up. Nobody held the door for me. I got in there. I was all sweaty. My makeup was running and I had to perform for 3 hours for I think $150 or something. And my sound system was a really good size sound system, but there was a wedding party going on right on the other side of the door with a DJ.
Oh no.
So I was like, what am I doing here?
Exactly. That's exactly what went through my head. Why did they even have her there?
When I got done, I was just exhausted mentally and physically. And I just thought, for $150, for $1,000, I wouldn't do that again.
I hear you. Hauling that gear is something else. Boy, I couldn't do it anymore. I'm sure you have a list of best gigs, but I want you to just think of one and tell us a story about it.
The best gig, of course, is to have someone that sets up all your sound and is all ready to go. And that would have been Ray Coudray, by the way. I could just walk in with him and everything would be set up neatly put away, all ready to go. And he treated me like a queen.
Oh, that's nice.
And he did
He's a
all
great
the,
guy.
oh, he's such a great guy. He's a music man. That's what I call him, music man.
Nice.
So yeah, anytime I did a gig with Ray.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, we are at the end, but before we finish, I want to ask you where people can hear your music and find out where you're playing.
Okay, my music is available on Amazon and on iTunes and a few other places, Spotify, I believe. On my website, you can read more about it all, barbarapipermusic.com. It talks about my bands, the things that I'm involved in right now, and a little bit about me.
Is there a schedule on there for when you are playing?
Yep, it hasn't been very active lately.
Yeah, no kidding.
My album names are Guilty is the first one, and then Sheep is the second one too. That might help the search.
Okay. And if somebody wants to buy, not just stream the music, is there a place they can actually get physical copies of a CD?
Yes. On my website, there is a link that takes them right to Amazon, and it's right there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And I encourage everybody to do that and go check out more of Barb's music. I think it'll be a fun journey to listen to a full album of yours. Absolutely. So thank you so much, Barb, for joining me today for this really great and insightful conversation and for sharing with us some of your creative musical journey. And I look forward to seeing you on stage.
Thank you so much, Pauline. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I look forward to talking with you more about music.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Many thanks to Barb for joining me for this terrific conversation this morning and for sharing her voice with us. And heartfelt gratitude to you for listening to Musician Talk on the One, KYMN. Have a terrific day.